Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matt. I'd like to thank you all for attending our first INTERS webinar in quite some time. The reason why we have not had one in so long is that we were redoing all of the NRS tables and the reports and everything like that for WIOA, as you all know. Plus, we were doing the RFA process, which is still going on. So today, all I wanted to cover, I've just got a few items, and then we'll get into questions at the end. Please ask your questions on the chat. If you can't see the chat, if you look at your screen, on the WebEx, there will be a little chat icon that I'm kind of circling with my mouse right now that says chat. Click on that. Click on the drop-down that says everyone. So it says send to. Make sure you select everyone, and either myself or Bren will be able to answer your question from the chat. So the topics we're going to cover today are the NRS reports. I'm going to go over some intake steps. There's things that I feel that probably, since we did away with you guys being able to combine duplicates, that you're causing more duplicates than is needed. So we'll go over some intake steps. And then I've got two other things, and we'll discuss the INTERS training. Since I already mentioned that, I'll go ahead and cover the INTERS training. There will not be any INTERS trainings until at least early to late May, possibly early June. I have to rewrite all of the training materials. I'm in the process of doing that to be in adherence with the new WIOA guidelines, and we wanted to get all the reports in, so I have to redo all of the reports training based on the new stuff. So that's going to take me a while to rewrite all of that. And then we also want to incorporate it with the new professional development team to make sure that it's relevant to what needs to be done. So I'm not just writing something about INTERS and it's only pertinent to certain individuals. We want to make sure that it's relevant to everyone. So that's the note for INTERS training. So you can cross that off your list to ask me when it's going to happen. We will let you know. And we hope to continue having these monthly, either before the statewide call or after the statewide director's call. If you have anybody that's a data user who is not on the email list or did not get this invite for the webinar, make sure you email us. That's myself, Bren, or Jack. We can then forward that to Cameron or Donna and the AA team, and they can update the list, and then I can get it added to the webinar list that I have to keep because I have to do it separate for WebEx. So other than that, if there aren't any questions about the trainings or anything like that, I'm going to jump into the NRS tables and the reports. So I'm in the live right now. I've gotten a lot of emails about questions with Table 4. There were a bunch of changes that were made after we released the new 2017 reports that people were saying things weren't counting, and we saw some stuff that wasn't counting. Some of the formulas were wrong. We readjusted it. It was wrong again. Some students disappeared. It wasn't counting things right. So we got all of that fixed yesterday afternoon, I believe, was when the database was updated. So the new Table 4s should look correct now. If you see a problem with your counts or you think something's missing, please let me know so that we can get those corrected again. We do have a little bit of time, but I'll just show you. You go to the Reports tab, you click on NRS tables, we move them all to the top, all of the brand new ones, so that you can see those very easy. I'll just run the whole statewide for today. You want to select the term of 16-17, and these will only work for 16-17. It will run the other data for the other years, but it won't be right. And conversely, if you go down to the old Table 4 and try to run it for 16-17, the numbers won't be right either because it's two different separate measures of how it's calculated. So once you select your term, select Calc and Manual, and then you click Preview. Now, it's going to take me a while for it to run because I'm running the whole state. It does run live. There's not a snapshot for this yet, so it will take a while. But then you'll be able to see what's reported, and I'll go over some of the new columns since we've not really discussed those in detail on any of the calls that we've had so far once it runs. And again, 4, 4B, and 4C should all be relatively the same. I know that we had some reports of some percentages being really high. The reason why that was that the way a student would count for an EFL gain and an HSE, they were getting duplicated, and so we had percentages over 100%, which we can't have. When they recoded that part of it, they broke another part where it wasn't actually counting all of the columns correctly, so your total enrollment numbers were down when they really weren't. So all of those issues should be corrected as of today. And again, like I said, if not, please, please, please email me and let me know, or us, and I'll put all of our contact information up at the end. And then we'll go into, as soon as this runs, which it's almost done, of how this looks. Yeah, of course I said that. It's still taking forever. There we go. Okay, so here's the new WIOA 17-18, well, 16-17, Table 4. Some of the things to note, we actually broke it out by the new levels. So it's AB level 1 through 6 with a total for each subcategory, and then your totals at the bottom of that. So the reports are basically still laid out the exact same way. The feds did not change the way the table looks. What we did add was total periods of participation and total periods of participation with a measurable gain. So what that means is a student who comes into your program and continues through the entire year and never exits is 1 period of participation. However many gains or the gain that they get in that period of participation will count once in that. If the student leaves, is gone for 90 days, comes back, gets a new site program record, that is a 2nd period of participation. If you're unclear on that or how it's going to count, when you run the audit, it'll show you that this student counts in either just 1 period of participation or in the total periods of participation with the measurable gain. And as I get the training materials finished, I can provide that for people to understand the audit reports. So one of the issues we had was that the formula is supposed to be to get your total enrollments, is that column D, E, F, and G are supposed to equal the total enrollments. It was not adding in E, so the day that they changed how the diplomas worked for the HSE diploma, getting counted as a gain, caused this whole column not to count for a while, so it reduced your total number of enrollments. If you run it again today, your total enrollments in column B should be okay now. Again, if those don't match, let me know. So we still have the same number of stuff, the number that's separated before a gain, the number remaining within a gain, and these are straight NRS gains. And we do not have the guidelines on this yet for how things are calculated. Obviously, with us adding all of this with the errors and why things don't count, it takes up the entire page now. So if you have questions on how this is calculated, we can send that out. We have the electronic version, or you can go to the website that Jerry gave me the other day that has the NRS guidelines on what counts, how it counts, what the cohorts are. So any questions on Table 4 and the new reports? Because this is basically all I was going to cover, was to show you how it's supposed to work, explain what had happened and what went wrong, and that it should be okay now, and we're going to need your help to make sure that it is okay. So I'll wait a few minutes for any questions on that. All right, so that's Table 4. Another thing I want to mention in the reports, there is no scorecard. The scorecard that is there does not work. It does not pull this data at all. It pulls the old Table 4 data and the Table 5 data, so it's no good. It doesn't work for anything else either. So all of the information that's on it is no good. If you run it today, and it always runs live based off of information from midnight last night, it is wrong. So just be aware of that. We're not going to redo this scorecard until the performance team decides how they want to look at the new measures going forward with WIOA, and that's not going to be decided yet. I don't even know a timeline on that, haven't been given one. So if you're really relying on that scorecard to look at stuff, please don't. Just run your NRS tables. That's the best advice that I can give you right now, is to just look at these. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do an intake if I don't have any questions on that. So I got to get out of the live. Log into the test. So nobody's got any questions about Table 4? Wow, I'm shocked. All right, so here I'm in the test. Now I want to go over intake. So we turned off the ability for users to combine duplicates almost 6-8 months ago. And the reason is that it did not happen very often, but it did happen where users were not paying close enough attention and they would combine student records that they thought were actually duplicates that were not. And we had no way of undoing that. So one program would have lost all of their attendance and tests on a student because it got combined with another one and they would have to re-enter that. So we made it to where we had to enter the duplicates, which we do not have any issues doing the duplicates. Don't get me wrong, we do this a lot. But I think that there are a lot of duplicates being created at the intake process that could be stopped. So I'm going to go over how to do an intake again so that everybody understands that you can edit an existing student record and not create a duplicate when you do the intake. If you are having your teachers do intakes on the teacher website only, you are 100% creating duplicates because the teacher website was never intended for them to do an intake. A teacher only has access to the students who are assigned to their course and their course only. As data users, you have every student in your program, but when you do an intake, it searches the entire database of every single student that we have ever had in the system ever and gives you that information if they're already there. If they were a CTE student, if they're an ABE student at another program, when you do the intake, you get to see that student record. You can then edit it and make it yours with your site program record, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you go to the task and intake screen, and you clicked on intake when it allows me, Okay, so you can see the intake application came up. It's defaulting to the my very first site program record because I'm logged in as me. But it's going to default to your ABE program, so I'll just leave it at this. So basically, when you guys do your intakes, the first thing you should enter in, if you have it, is their SSN. So I'm going to do that. I happen to know a couple of SSNs in the test data. Now I've entered this Social Security number in, and boom, before I can even leave that cell, it immediately pulls up the student that's already in the database and says, hey, it looks like you're creating this student. Is this correct? So I will click yes, edit the selected student. Now it gives me the ability, it opens that student record no matter where they were, where they're at, what ABE program they were at, for you to be able to edit it for your program. So you can see here that I'm doing one as AK Smith, and this student happened to have attended South Bend. So now that I want them to be my student, I'm just going to add a new site program record that's for my program, and that student is now mine, and my intake is done, other than completing all of the demographics and then enrolling them. I don't have to finish the intake screen at all. And of course, my stuff's running slow because, you know, it's just me. All right, so got the student pulled up. I'm just going to add a program demographic and record. Pick 1617, go to AK Smith, click Save, and this student is now enrolled as an ABE student for AK Smith. All I have to do is go to the demographics, fill in all of my demographics, put the application date in, and finish the intake right here. This does not create a duplicate student at all. This just adds a site program record to an existing student in the student. It doesn't matter what term they're from. Like I said, it doesn't matter if they're a CTE student. If they are in our database and you do it this way, you will not create a duplicate. So we'll go over that again. I'll do another intake and put in a different SSN just so everybody can see the process again. So again, I'm going to click intake. Also, if you don't have the SSN and you start putting their first and last name in and then you get their date of birth in, the system will see that, oh, this may be this student. You can do the exact same thing. If it gives you a suggestion of a student, look at it, edit it if it is. Okay, so I just got a question. So even if you do not have different program years selected, it will still pull this student up. That is 100% correct. It does not matter what term, year, program, anywhere, as long as you're a data user using the intake in the Inters web client, when you put the SSN in, it will pull up that student for you to edit that student record. So here's another one.
I think I have it muted. What?
You don't have it muted, but that's okay. I'll take care of you.
You don't?
No, you're not muted.
Okay, hi, Matt.
All right, so I put the student's SSN again. Here it is. So I'm going to just click that record. All right, I'm going to edit the selected student. It will open that student record. Okay, so I just got another question. Can we prevent having a duplicate without having every year checked? Yes, you can, Liz, because you can only have 16, 17 selected for your intake year, and it will search the entire database from the beginning of time. Okay, Shelly Gregg has said, I have entered students before and went through the whole process, and then it shows dupe student. We may have to just bomb guard with you, Shelly, to see how you do an intake. But if you just do what I just did, it will give you the student record so that you can edit it. And again, I'm not picking on South Bend, but this just happens to be another student from South Bend that I have used the SSN from. So I'm going to add a new program site program, I'll pick, I don't know. Let's do Branchville Corrections. And I'm going to click Save. And you can see it adds ABE program Branchville Corrections with no app date. So I just go into the demographics. I'll click application date, today. I can go into attendance and enroll them into a course here from attendance by just right-clicking, add an enrollment, and then you just go through and select the course you want to add them in from the options. I'm not going to because it'll load every single course that I have. And that's how you enroll them in a new program year, by doing the intake on a student who is already in the system. All right. Yeah, okay, so I got another question. I'll discuss the other ones before, but I got another question from Laura James. So we totally skip over the box where we can select carryover from previous, correct? Yeah, that doesn't work. So what she's saying is, when you create a new site program record, this little checkbox here, it does nothing. It actually won't even save the site program record. You have to select and just hit Save. That adds the new program. There's the Anderson one out there already. So if I hit the drop down, I got South Bend, Branchville, and Anderson. Those are all done, with the exception of putting in all the demographics and the app dates. Okay, so any questions on the intake? So I've got some people saying that this is exactly how they do it, and they still end up with duplicates. All right, so if you're actually getting duplicate students, are you editing the student record just like I did after you've done it? Because if you save the intake, you continue the intake process. If you ignore the little pop-up window, it will create a duplicate student. All right, everybody's saying yes. They're clicking on Edit the Student. All right, then we'll have to look at you guys can remote me in the next time you do an intake, and we can see how it goes of what you're doing. Just exactly what I did is how you're supposed to do it and how it does not create a duplicate. So, any other questions on that? All right, anybody any questions on intake? All right. Next thing I'm going to discuss then. Incentive points. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions because they're coming to me privately and not everybody can see them. So, Matt, I have several dupe students that I have been entered into enters I need to send to you. Can I just start the dupe fixes from here then? No, you cannot fix the duplicates from here. You cannot combine a dupe. If you create a duplicate, you still have to send us that. And speaking of that, please send us, we only need a couple of things. I'll show you what we need. And you can email it to myself, Brent, or Jack, but this really, really helps us if you just send us certain information. Go back to the intake, it'll be faster. I just need a student record. We need just the student first and last name and the student ID number. That's all you got to email us. We don't need any other information. Just say, hey, this is a duplicate student, their name and ID number. 3283. All right. And when I say student ID, I don't mean your internal ID. I don't mean the SSN. I don't mean some other number. The student ID is the ID number that is assigned to the student by Enters, and it is a unique number that is never duplicated. That student ID number is this number up here in the upper right-hand corner or in the very lower left-hand corner of the student screen. So if you have a duplicate you want to send to us, or you have a question about any student and you want to send it to us, send us their first and last name and their student ID number. Oh, yes, Robin. Yeah, you can do the new process the correct way and stop getting duped. So Robin was following up on her question. So yeah, the student ID is up here in the upper right-hand corner and down here in the lower left-hand corner. You just need to send us the first, last name, and this number. We don't need any other information. We don't need the other student ID number that it needs to be combined with. We see all of that. We'll take care of it. Even if it's a student that is not yours, that you've put an SSN in and it's pulling up two different students, we still have to go in and check that. We go into the database and look at the other student and figure out, and we'll remove an SSN somewhere. So that's how that works. It just helps us because then we don't, at least for me, I don't have to take the time to log in as you, and when I'm doing a whole bunch of these, I just want student numbers to be able to search for. So it just helps me. And it's easier for you instead of trying to explain a whole bunch of stuff, just student name, student ID. So any questions on that? All right. Incentive points. So I keep getting emails about clock resets, emails about why am I not getting any points for this student, or why isn't this gain counting for points, or what's going on with this student and points. There are no incentive points. There have not been incentive points since 2014, 2015. The last incentive schedule that anyone has seen was written in 15-16 and was drafted and never approved. INTERS was coded to look at that because we were anticipating that it would be approved. It never got approved. That's how it's working. The box on the testing screen that shows those points means nothing. The only thing that matters right now for 16-17 are NRS gains for WIOA. That's it. There has not been a brand new incentive schedule written. I don't even know if there's going to be one. I've heard that they may have one, but it was not going to be for 16-17. It may be for 17-18 with the new RFA process. So asking for clock resets and why am I not getting these points and OST and employment and everything like that, none of that matters. Only NRS gains. If a student has a gain in their column on a test and it is an NRS gain, that student counts. It doesn't matter what focus subject, they will get credit based on their entry-level EFL of any EFL gains that they get for NRS. All right? I know that's going to upset some people, and that's okay. We were going to remove that whole incentive box, but we decided not to because we knew everyone would just freak out, and we didn't want to do that. So when you send us your clock resets, we go ahead and do it just so you have a warm fuzzy, but there are no points. You're not earning any points. The clock reset doesn't matter for NRS gains, doesn't matter for HSE gains, it doesn't matter for anything, only for the incentive points that used to be tied to some other stuff way back, but that's not how it is anymore. That may change, and if it does, we will let you know, and we will recode the system to do what we want it to do. But I know for a fact right now that the focus, and if you guys filled out or were part of the RFA process, the focus is on your data for NRS implementation and reporting. So that's what you really need to be looking at. So that's why we're really trying to get done for the WIOA reporting. So if you see errors with that, let us know, because that's really important. So Linda Black asked, should we not ask for clock resets then? Yeah, no, you don't need to, because there are no points. The only thing the clock reset did was every 6 months you could earn new points again. So since there are no points, there's no point in having a clock reset. If I don't even know because we haven't even talked about it, if they do institute a new incentive schedule that has points or anything tied to it, we will do a master reset on the whole system, I am sure, since it would be new. Other than that, yeah, if you want to waste the time of sending the email to us, we can do it. It takes us 2 seconds to hit that reset button, but really there's no points that you're going to earn. Are there any questions on that? I know it's going to really upset some people because a lot of people were focused on that. So. All right. So. So I got a question from Cindy Harris. If all we are counting is gains, is it a benefit for a student to get multiple gains? Sure, Cindy, because the way the NRS works is you get the different types of gains. You got a student that has a gain, and then you have a student that has gains in multiple levels for NRS reporting. So, yes. Then you have your Table 5 stuff that, are they employed? Did they go to post-secondary? Which is going to change too, because there are certain things that are going to count for Table 5 that did not count before for post-secondary. So other than that, I don't have anything else. Are there any other questions? And then I'm going to let Jerry say anything he wants to say if he wants to talk. I don't know if he does or not, but the floor is his for a second. You good, Jerry?
Can you hear me, Matt?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Hey, just a couple very quick things. Let me explain a little bit more about the incentive points. Because we're in a grant competition for 17-18, you received your appropriation, your allocation by county. That is the allocation, the appropriation for 17-18. We fully intend, as Matt was explaining earlier, to have a new schedule once 17-18 and the awards are made and we get into that program year next year. What we have said in the grant competition, for those of you who read that material, part of your allocation in 18-19 will be based upon performance. And as you said, Matt, particularly tables 4 and 5, as always, will be critical for that. But for this coming year, those allocations were based on a very specific formula that was contained within the application process. So that is set for next year. Obviously, once the grants are awarded, there will be some negotiation back and forth between our staff and the successful applicants regarding what they have applied for and what we can actually award. I was actually on a conference call yesterday. Our federal dollars we don't have, even at this point in time, a federal appropriation. No one across the country has a federal appropriation for this coming year. Hopefully we'll get something the next couple of months. We were very, very careful in saying in all of our grant applications it's contingent upon state and federal funding. So having said that, we give you allocations, projected amounts to work from, so that will be for 17-18. There will be performance built in for the grant renewals for 18 and 19. And we will keep you informed, as Matt said, of what that schedule might look like. I can give you, obviously, a hint. It will be performance, and specifically we'll be looking a lot at tables 4 and 5. In relation to table 4, I might also say this. As I was looking at what had been fixed in enters, realizing that on table 4 that column D, E, F, and G must actually equal the total number enrolled, which is column B. Particularly looking at columns D and E, D is the number who achieved at least one educational functioning level, and E are those numbers, those individuals who obtained a secondary school diploma or its equivalent. Well, let's say Matt is a student. Matt actually has a level gain. He moves up a level, so he would be reported in column D. But let's just also say down in the program year, Matt also receives his high school equivalency, his HSE. He then would go in column E, but the way that you get the total number enrolled is in D and E, when you have that situation of Matt getting both a level gain and then eventually getting his HSE, it is the most recent achievement that is reported. So Matt then is removed from column D, and he only appears then in column E because that was his most recent achievement. He got his HSE. So please keep that in mind as you sort of drill down and look at the data a little bit more closely. When you have a situation with Matt having both a level gain and an HSE on Table 4, you get on Table 4 the most recent one. So Matt, unless there's some further questions, I just thought I'd add a couple points. I know the incentive schedule, as you mentioned, has a lot of people have asked that question, and maybe that's a little bit of clarification for everyone.
Well, thank you, sir. I've got some questions, so I'll take care of them. So, all right, the first one that I want to cover is where did it go? All right, so Nancy Hebron asked, how will we know if we need any other information or fix information we don't have the points to go by? I'm kind of confused by that question, as you'll still get test errors if you've tested wrong. You're going to have errors for any of the students. None of the errors on getting information and correcting information was based on points at all, ever. So I'm confused by that one. And then if all we are counting is gains, is it a benefit for a student to get multiple gains? And I already answered that, sorry. When will we be able to see Table 4 and 4B results per course per teacher from Central 9? Ruth, I have no idea. I put the case in. They have not fixed that yet. The priority was to get the formulas working right first, which if you really have a good photographic memory, you'll see that this report that I have up is wrong. It's run the old way, and it's not counting column E into the total numbers because we were only at 19,000 on this, and the other one we had was like 22,000 when I ran it live. D, I just answered the question about the sort for the courses. It's been added, so I don't know. Linda, if you have a level 1 participant and they get one gain, is there a need to continue post-testing? Yeah, Linda, because they can go up to level 6, I believe. It's backwards for you now. I think that the ABE level 1, unless I'm wrong, which I may be, is 1 the highest? Okay. But yes, for instructional purposes, yeah, keep testing them. You can still test them. Unless they get their HSE, then you move them to HSE. Then you can get them ready for an Accuplacer. So yeah, there's still ways to improve. Becky Kelly asked, does Find Duplicate Students button work anymore? Yes, Kelly, it does, but it's only looking at your current set of students in your database for your program, and then it's going to find students that have similar names. It's not the same as what I'm talking about when you do an intake. We run errors in the student view and also run a Table 4 audit for students not counted in Table 4 to find issues to be correct. That's correct, Warren. That's exactly how it should be done. And yes, Robin, you're right. Yep, 1 is lowest, so yeah, it goes up. All right, so Patty Crafton said, I've entered several post-tests this week, but my Table 4B percentage doesn't seem to be changing. You're probably correct because we were still working on it. If you ran it today, I don't know exactly. I mean, you'd have to send me your numbers to say, hey, Last week I had 10 students who did not have a post-test, but they should be counting now because they have a post-test. I can actually send that to programmers because if I get specific information, it helps them drill down instead of trying to look at it from the state. It gives them a smaller number to look at to be able to fix this stuff because they recoded all of it. It's all brand new if you can see it. So other than that, this is about it for me. Usually ours are only about 45 minutes. If you've got any other questions, don't hesitate to contact us here. Let me see if I can find the website for, I'll just link the stuff over here. Oh, goodness. So here's how everything is coded. There's 25 pages to this. Here's all the definitions and terms for every single one of the tables. Like I said, when they added all this stuff to Table 4, look at how big the definitions are. Table 4 almost takes up an entire page on its own. So I recommend saving this website that I just linked into the chat, and I'm going ahead and showing it here. But as Jerry mentioned, you know, column B plus E plus F plus G should equal B, which is your total enrollments. And then it tells you how the enrollments are actually calculated, and then your gains, and then it shows you what your percentages are and how they're calculated. So if you've got questions like that, let us know. And again, please, if you see errors with your numbers, please let me know specifics. And Linda, I just put the link in the chat, so you should be able to click it. If you hit the drop down and go from private to everyone, you'll be able to see that. Any other questions? I'll email out this link as well after this. This is being recorded for people who could not attend. I do not have any idea when it will be posted, but as soon as it is, we'll email you and let you know. It will go up where all of the rest of our Q&A stuff is. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Again, don't hesitate to contact us. Here's our contact information. Can't talk and type at the same time. Oh, that's one other thing I want to mention, just so you guys, I'll drive it in again. JEDVance no longer works for ABE. Don't contact JEDVance for ABE questions. Don't email JEDVance for ABE stuff. His new role is got a lot of his time, and all he does is forwards the information to us anyway, so it's just quicker for you to just contact us directly. I know you guys really enjoyed JED, and I'm sorry. You know, I can't live up to that expectation, but just contact us. We can get you taken care of too. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to stop the recording, and you guys have a wonderful weekend, and just let us know. Have a great day.